I still remember the first time she said it so casually as if it didn't matter. "Sorry, Mom," she smiled politely, "but this year's Christmas is already full. Maybe next time." Maybe next time. She said it every year, and every year that next time never came. My name is Lydia, and I'm a 62-year-old widow. I raised my only son, Ethan, on my own after his father died in a construction accident. I worked 2 jobs, mornings at the diner, nights at a factory, so Ethan could go to college and have the life I never did. And he did. He made it. He became a software engineer, bought a house, and married Carla, a beautiful, sharp-tongued woman with an MBA and a perfect smile that never reached her eyes. At first, I was thrilled. My son had found love. But soon after their wedding, the distance began. The first Christmas after their marriage, I offered to bring pie and gifts. Carla texted, "We're doing Christmas with my parents this year. Hope you understand." Read, I did understand. Families split holidays. I told myself not to take it personally. But when the next year came, and the next, and the next, the pattern stayed the same. Carla's parents were always welcome. Her 2 golden retrievers even got stockings hung by the fireplace, but there was never space for me. I wasn't angry at first, just hurt. I'd smile through it. I'd tell Ethan, "It's okay, honey, I'll make myself a nice dinner, you go have fun." But when I hung up the phone, the quiet of my apartment pressed down like a heavy blanket. Then one day, I decided to visit unannounced. It was mid-December, snow falling soft and thick. I just wanted to drop off gifts, nothing more. I made fudge, packed it neatly, and took the bus across town to Ethan's place. When I got there, I froze on the sidewalk. Through their big bay window, I could see them all laughing, Carla's parents, her sister, and even her dogs sitting on the couch in little Christmas sweaters. I stood outside for a moment, heart in my throat. Then I saw something that nearly broke me. Carla was handing a small box to her mother. "You've always been like my real mom," she said, hugging her. Real mom. I turned away before the tears could fall. I didn't knock. I just walked back to the bus stop, clutching the gift bag that no one would ever open. The next morning, Ethan called. "Mom, Carla said you came by. You should have told us." I tried to keep my voice light. "Oh, I didn't want to bother anyone." But Carla's voice chimed in the background, sharp, annoyed. "You can't just show up uninvited. We had guests." I said goodbye quickly and hung up before my voice could shake. That night, I cried harder than I had in years. I had been replaced not just by another woman, but by an entire family that wasn't mine. But here's where things began to change. The following spring, I fell ill. Nothing major at first, dizziness, fatigue. The doctor said it was stress, maybe anemia. But the tests came back worse than expected. I had early-stage cancer. I remember staring at the floor in the clinic as the doctor spoke, my hands trembling. I wasn't scared of dying. I was scared of dying alone. When I told Ethan, his reaction was polite, distant. "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. We'll come by soon, okay?" But they never did. Carla texted a week later. "Hope you're feeling better, sending prayers, 2 hearts." That was it. I started my treatments alone. The nurses were kind, and one of them, a young woman named Holly, used to talk to me about her grandmother. "Family should be there for you," she said one day, handing me a cup of tea. I smiled, pretending I didn't care. But inside, something cracked open. Because I realized, if I died tomorrow, no one would even know for days. That night, I looked through old photo albums. Ethan as a baby, his first day of school, his graduation. I'd sacrificed everything, vacations, sleep, my own happiness, just so he could have the life I never did. And now I was an inconvenience. But something inside me shifted. I decided that if my son and his wife didn't want me in their lives, I'd stop begging for space in theirs. And instead, I'd make a new life of my own. That was the moment, the quiet, painful moment, when the idea for my revenge was born. But it wasn't the kind of revenge people think of. No, I wasn't going to scream or fight. I was going to do something that would make them see exactly what they had thrown away. I started writing letters, one for every year I'd been left out. Letters that told the truth from my heart without bitterness. I didn't know then that those letters would eventually destroy everything Carla had built. But I was about to find out. What would you do if your own family treated you like a stranger while welcoming others with open arms? Would you fight for a place or walk away like Lydia did? Tell me in the comments. I wasn't planning to destroy anyone's life. All I wanted was peace and maybe just a little justice. After years of being quietly pushed aside, I decided to put everything into writing, my love, my pain, my regrets. Every Christmas that passed without a call. Every time I saw those golden retrievers in family photos where I should have been. I wrote the letters in a small notebook, old-fashioned lined paper with a blue pen. Each one started with, "Dear Ethan, if you're reading this, I hope you remember your mother." They weren't angry. They were honest. Brutally honest. And though I didn't know it then, those words would soon make their way into the hands of someone who wasn't meant to see them. Weeks passed. My health fluctuated, some good days, some bad. On one of those bad days, I collapsed outside the small grocery store near my apartment. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. And sitting next to me, holding my hand, was a young woman I'd never seen before. "Hi, I'm Emily," she said softly. "I found your purse and notebook. You dropped them when you fainted." She looked about 25, brown hair and a messy bun, kind eyes. A nurse, I guessed. I blinked, confused. "My notebook," she smiled and held it up. "I didn't mean to read it, but I did. I'm sorry. Her voice cracked. It broke my heart." For a moment, I didn't know what to say. I should have been angry, but her voice carried a sincerity that disarmed me. "You wrote about being alone," she said. "About your son forgetting you. That shouldn't happen to anyone." I tried to brush it off. "He's busy, people change." But Emily shook her head. "No, people don't forget love like that, they just choose to." We talked for hours that day. For the first time in years, someone listened to me. She told me she'd lost her own mother when she was 15, cancer just like mine. "I always wished I had more time with her," she said quietly. "Reading your letters, it felt like hearing what she might have said if she'd lived." When I left the hospital, Emily started visiting me on her days off. She'd bring flowers, soup, and the kind of laughter I hadn't heard in years. She even helped me record my letters on video, for posterity, she said, smiling. I didn't realize it then, but those recordings would later go viral and change everything. A few weeks later, I was sitting by my window knitting when my phone rang. It was Ethan. "Mom, Carla's upset," he said bluntly. "She found out you've been talking to someone about our family." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "Emily posted a video online, your letters. Thousands of people are commenting, saying we abandoned you." I froze. "She what?" I hadn't known Emily posted them. "She de-recorded them for me, yes, but she never said she'd share them publicly." I quickly called her, voice trembling. "Emily, sweetheart, what did you do?" She sounded panicked. "I'm so sorry, Lydia. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just wanted to raise awareness about elderly parents being neglected. I didn't mention your name." But it was too late. Even without my name, people pieced it together. Ethan's coworkers saw it. Carla's social media filled with comments like, "How could anyone treat their mother like that? That poor woman deserves better." Their perfect image cracked overnight. Carla was furious. She called me directly for the first time in years. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she screamed. "My friends think I'm some kind of monster." I tried to explain. "Carla, I didn't post anything. Don't play innocent. You've always been manipulative, always trying to make Ethan feel guilty." "Manipulative?" I whispered. "Carla, I raised him alone. I never asked for a thing." But she didn't care. She hung up, and an hour later, Ethan texted me. "Mom, maybe it's best if we take a break for a while." A break. From his own mother. That night, I sat by my window again, staring at the dark street below. The letters had spread like wildfire. People online were calling me the forgotten mother. I should have felt embarrassed, exposed, but instead something strange happened. Messages started pouring in from strangers. One woman wrote, "I haven't spoken to my mom in years. Because of your letters, I called her today." Another said, "You reminded me that parents aren't forever. Thank you." And slowly, my tears turned into something else, pride. I hadn't wanted revenge, but karma had found its own way in. A few days later, Ethan showed up at my door for the first time in years. He looked tired, ashamed, older than I remembered. He stood there in silence, holding a small potted plant, my favorite lilies. "Mom," he said softly, "I'm sorry." I wanted to hug him, to tell him I forgave him right then. But before I could answer, Carla appeared behind him on the sidewalk, arms crossed, glaring. "We're only here because people won't stop talking," she snapped. "So let's make this quick." My stomach twisted. That tone, that arrogance, it hadn't changed. I took a slow breath. "Come in, both of you." They did. But as the door shut behind them, I could feel the storm brewing. If your daughter-in-law showed up like that, ungrateful, angry, after years of ignoring you, would you still open the door? Or shut it forever? Let me know in the comments. When Ethan and Carla stepped into my apartment, I could feel the tension clinging to the air like static. My home wasn't big, a small 2-bedroom with old furniture and the faint scent of lavender candles, but it was mine. And for the first time, they were standing inside it. Ethan looked uncomfortable, eyes darting around at the framed photos on the walls, his childhood pictures, his graduation photo, the one of him holding his father's hand. Carla, on the other hand, didn't even try to hide her disdain. She sat on my couch, crossed her legs, and said coldly, "So this is where all the drama started." I frowned. Drama? Yes, those letters you supposedly didn't post. Do you have any idea how humiliated we are? People at Ethan's work recognized us. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "Carla, maybe we should just—" "No," she snapped, cutting him off. "Your mother needs to understand what she's done." I stayed quiet, letting her talk. There was a time when her words would have broken me, but now I just felt tired. After a long silence, I said softly, "Carla, I didn't post those letters, but maybe deep down you're angry because they struck a nerve." Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me. You treated me like I didn't exist, like I wasn't family. Every Christmas, every birthday, I waited. And when I saw those dogs in the photos, sitting beside your parents, I realized I'd been replaced." Her jaw clenched. "You think I owe you something just because you're his mother?" "No," I replied calmly, "but maybe a little respect." The silence that followed was sharp. Ethan stared at the floor, his hands clasped tightly. Finally, he whispered, "She's right, Carla." Carla turned to him in disbelief. "What did you just say?" "She's right," he repeated, voice trembling. "You've treated my mom like a burden, and I let you." I could see the shock flicker across Carla's face, the kind of shock that comes when control starts slipping through your fingers. "Ethan, don't start this," she warned, but he didn't stop. "I ignored her for years because you made me feel guilty for caring. You said she was manipulative, that she'd ruin our peace. But she's never done anything except love me." Carla's lips tightened. "So now you're taking her side." Ethan exhaled, eyes glistening. "I think I've been on the wrong side for a long time." For a moment, the room was silent except for the ticking of the clock on my wall. I could see Carla's facade cracking, her eyes darting, her fingers twitching. Then she stood up abruptly. "You know what? Fine, if you want to play the perfect son now, go ahead. But don't come crying to me when your coworkers keep whispering about how pathetic your mother made us look." Ethan's face hardened. "Carla, stop." "No, you stop," she snapped. "You think she's innocent. You don't even know half of it." That line caught me off guard. "Half of what?" I asked. Carla smirked. "Oh, come on, Lydia. You think I don't know your little act, the lonely, sweet old lady routine, please." Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" Carla crossed her arms, eyes glinting with malice. "Your mother hasn't told you everything about why your dad died, has she?" My heart stopped. The air went still. I could feel the blood drain from my face. "Carla," I whispered, "don't you dare." But she smirked, triumphant. "Oh, he deserves to know. He's 34, Lydia. You've lied to him long enough." Ethan turned to me, confused. "Mom, what is she talking about?" Tears burned behind my eyes. I'd buried that truth for decades, not out of deceit, but protection. "Your father's death," I began, my voice shaking. "It wasn't just an accident. He struggled with alcohol. I didn't want you to remember him that way." Ethan stared, stunned. "You told me he slipped on the site." "He did," I said quickly. "But he was drinking that day. He promised me he'd quit, but—" I swallowed hard. "He didn't." Carla folded her arms, smirking. "So much for honesty." I turned to her, anger rising. "You had no right to say that." "Oh, please," she sneered. "I found the old insurance papers in your son's files when we did taxes. Maybe if you hadn't kept secrets, your little pity letters wouldn't be so touching." That was it. I stood up. "Get out of my house." Carla blinked. "What?" I said, "Get out." Ethan looked between us, torn. "Mom." "No, Ethan," I said firmly. "Your wife came here to humiliate me in my own home. She doesn't get to do that again." Carla's eyes burned with fury. "You'll regret this." "I already regret letting you in." For a second, she looked like she wanted to say more, but then she turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind her so hard the picture frames rattled. Ethan just stood there, pale, shaken. "I didn't know," he murmured. "About Dad, about any of it." I sighed. "I wasn't trying to hide it forever. I just wanted you to have good memories." He nodded slowly, tears welling. "I'm sorry, Mom, for all of it, for letting her treat you that way." I finally pulled him into my arms the first time in years, and for a brief, fragile moment, everything felt right again. But that peace didn't last long, because while Ethan was hugging me, I saw something through the window, a black SUV idling outside, and in the passenger seat, Carla glaring up at us through the glass with her phone raised, recording. If your daughter-in-law secretly filmed your family fight, would you confront her or let her expose herself? What would you do in Lydia's place? Comment below. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the apartment, every passing car outside felt louder, heavier. I knew Carla wasn't the kind of woman who'd walk away quietly. Ethan sat with me for a while after she stormed off, apologizing over and over. "Mom, I'll fix this. I'll talk to her." But I'd seen her face in that SUV, that cold, satisfied smile, and I knew she wasn't just angry. She was plotting. The next morning, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, dozens of texts. When I opened social media, my heart dropped. There it was, a video posted by Carla. The caption read, "Sometimes the sweetest smiles hide the ugliest lies." Toxic Mother's Truth Time. The video started with shaky footage, me standing in my living room, voice trembling as I told Ethan the truth about his father's drinking. Then it cut abruptly to Carla's voice saying, "So much for honesty." She'd edited it perfectly, just enough to make it look like I was the one being cruel, manipulative, and dramatic. The comments were brutal. "Wow, that poor guy's mom is guilt-tripping him. Classic narcissistic parent behavior. Wonder the wife keeps her away." I felt sick. I tried calling Ethan, but it went straight to voicemail. He must have seen it. Everyone had. The comments grew by the hour, thousands of strangers judging me based on a twisted moment they didn't understand. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "You wanted attention, you've got it now. Enjoy being famous." Carla. For a long time, I just stared at the screen, numb. I wanted to scream, but instead, I cried quietly into my hands. How could someone hate me this much? 2 days later, Ethan finally came over. He looked exhausted, eyes red, shoulders slumped. "Mom," he said softly, "Carla posted that without asking me. I told her to delete it, but it's already everywhere." I nodded. "I saw. People at my work know. My boss even asked if everything's okay at home." There was a pause. Then he whispered, "She's saying you've been manipulating me for years, that you guilt me into visiting. Is that true?" His question hit me like a punch. "Ethan," I said, voice trembling, "I never wanted guilt. I just wanted a phone call to know you were okay." He stared at the floor. "I know, I don't know who to believe anymore." That broke me, completely. After he left, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my notebook of letters, the same one that started all of this. For a moment, I thought about burning it, ending it all. No more drama, no more pain. But then I remembered what Emily, the young nurse, had said when we first met. "You reminded people that love isn't endless, that it needs care." And that's when I made a decision. If Carla wanted to tell her version of the truth, then I would tell mine, all of it. The unfiltered story. The pain. The love. The nights alone. With Emily's help, we recorded a new video. This time, it wasn't shaky or emotional. It was calm, honest, and full of heart. I looked straight into the camera and said, "My name is Lydia. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes as a mother, but I raised my son alone after losing my husband. I've spent years watching from the sidelines while my family forgot I existed. This isn't about revenge, it's about truth." I talked about loneliness, the kind that eats at you when the people you love most pretend you don't exist. By the time I finished, Emily had tears in her eyes. "People need to hear this," she said. We posted it that night with the caption, "From the heart of a forgotten mother." The response was overwhelming. Within hours, thousands of comments flooded in, people defending me, sharing their own stories, even tagging Carla's original post to expose how she'd twisted the truth. This woman's strength broke me. "Carla, you owe your mill an apology. Ethan, if you see this, go hug your mom." And then, something I didn't expect happened. Local media picked it up. Small news outlet contacted Emily for an interview. They wanted to do a piece on elder neglect and family estrangement. My quiet story had turned into a national conversation, but not everyone was happy. That night, my doorbell rang, loud, relentless. I opened it, and there she was, Carla, eyes wild, face red, shaking with rage. "You think you can humiliate me?" she spat. "You made me the villain, you ruined my reputation." I stepped back, startled. "Carla, you did that yourself." "No, you did this, you and that stupid nurse." Before I could speak, she shoved past me into the apartment. "Where is it?" she hissed. "The camera, the laptop, you think you can keep posting this garbage?" "Carla, stop," I cried, but she didn't stop. She started pulling drawers open, knocking things over, her anger spilling like poison. That's when Ethan walked in right behind her. "Carla, what the hell are you doing?" he shouted. She froze, realizing he followed her. "She's trying to destroy us." Ethan looked around at the chaos, the overturned chair, my frightened face. Then, for the first time, I saw something break inside him. "No, Carla," he said quietly. "You're destroying yourself." She blinked, shocked. "What?" "I saw Mom's video," he continued. "All of it, and for once I saw who she really is and who you've become." Carla's face twisted in disbelief. "You can't be serious." "I am," he said. "I'm done." Her eyes filled with tears, angry, furious ones. "You'll regret this," she hissed. Then she turned and stormed out the door, slamming it so hard a picture fell from the wall. Ethan turned to me, shaking. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have protected you from her a long time ago." I took his hand, my heart breaking and healing at the same time. "It's not too late, honey." He nodded slowly, tears streaming down his face. But neither of us knew that Carla wasn't finished yet. Because by the next morning, the story had spread far beyond social media. A journalist had reached out to Carla's company, and what they found there would change everything. Do you think Lydia should forgive Ethan now that he's finally seeing the truth, or should she make him earn it? What would you do? I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed, clutching the shawl my late husband had given me years ago, the same one I wore every winter when we hosted family dinners together. Back then, our home was full of laughter. Now my son's house was full of tension, and I was the silent ghost in the background. But that night, something inside me snapped. I realized I had spent the last few years begging for affection, apologizing for existing, and waiting for permission to be loved by my own family. No more. When I looked at the framed picture of my husband beside the bed, I whispered, "If you were here, you wouldn't have let them treat me like this." And for the first time, I decided I would stop being invisible. The next morning, I quietly started packing my things. My son Adam had already left for work, and Lisa was in the kitchen feeding her dogs like they were royalty. She didn't even glance at me as I walked by with my suitcase. But I stopped near the door and said softly, "Lisa." She turned, clearly annoyed. "What?" "I'm leaving," I said, her eyebrow lifted slightly. "Oh, where to?" I smiled, not bitterly, but with calm dignity. "Somewhere I'll be wanted." She blinked, clearly not expecting that. "You're being dramatic again, Margaret." "Maybe," I said, "but drama seems to be the only language that gets your attention." And then I walked out. I took a bus to my old friend Clara's house, someone I hadn't seen in years. She was shocked when she saw me standing at her door with my bag. "Margaret, my goodness, come in, what happened?" When I told her everything, about the "no place for your mother" comments, the holidays I spent alone, the constant belittling, she grabbed my hand and said, "You deserve better than that. Stay here as long as you need." For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Clara and I talked all night, reminiscing about old times, sharing tea and laughter. She reminded me who I was before I became someone's burden, a woman with dreams, compassion, and quiet strength. At night, I slept peacefully, but peace didn't last long. A few days later, I got a call from Adam. "Mom, where are you?" His voice sounded panicked. "At Clara S.," I said evenly. "Why?" He hesitated. "You could have at least told me you were leaving." "I did," I replied. "I told Lisa." He sighed. "Look, Mom, you know she doesn't mean it. Things get hectic during the holidays. Adam," I interrupted softly. "Do you remember the last time I spent Christmas with you?" Silence. "It's been 4 years," I said. "4 years, Adam. Every year she's found a reason to say I don't belong, but there was always a place for her parents and even her dogs." He was quiet. I could almost hear the guilt in his breathing. Then I said something that must have surprised him. "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done begging to be loved." "Mom, please don't talk like that." "I have a place to stay," I said gently. "I'm fine." When the call ended, I felt a strange sense of calm. But word travels fast in families, doesn't it? Within a week, Lisa's parents showed up at Clara's house. Yes, her parents, the same people who got invited to every Christmas I was left out of. They arrived unannounced, acting as if they were doing me a favor. Her mother said sweetly, "Margaret, dear, you know Lisa didn't mean to hurt you. You're just very sensitive." I clenched my jaw. "Sensitive?" "Yes," she said with a fake smile. "You take things too personally." "Lisa is busy with the children, the house, the dogs." I cut her off. "I was busy too when I was raising Adam, but I never turned my husband's mother away at Christmas." She blinked, not knowing what to say. I stood up. "Tell your daughter this. I may be old, but I'm not invisible anymore." They left, flustered and embarrassed. That evening, Clara and I were sitting by the fire when she looked at me and said, "You know, you should tell your story." "My story?" I laughed softly. "Who would care about an old woman's story?" "More people than you think," she said. "You're not the only mother who's been made to feel like a burden." And that's when an idea sparked. The next week, I started writing. I poured my heart onto the pages, every ignored phone call, every lonely holiday, every time I smiled through tears so my son wouldn't feel guilty. I wrote about what it feels like when your child forgets that you once gave them everything. I didn't know it then, but those words would reach further than I ever imagined. Because a few weeks later, Clara helped me submit my story to an online forum, a space where people shared their family experiences anonymously. We titled it, "Every Year My DIL Said, No Place for Your Mother." But there was for her dogs and her parents. It was just a story, or so I thought, but within days, it went viral. Thousands of people commented, some angry, some heartbroken, some saying they'd lived the exact same pain. And then came the shocker. Lisa found it. When she realized the story was about her, she lost it. She called Adam at work, furious, demanding he make his mother take it down. But something unexpected happened. Adam didn't agree with her. He read the story, and for the first time, he saw me. He came to visit the next day. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying. "Mom," he said quietly, I didn't realize how much I hurt you." And before I could respond, he hugged me tightly, like the little boy he once was. But I didn't know then that this moment of warmth was just the calm before the biggest storm of all, because Lisa wasn't done yet. She was about to do something that would turn the entire family upside down, something that would make me question if forgiveness was even possible. What would you do if your daughter-in-law tried to erase you from your own family? Would you forgive, or would you finally fight back? Comment below, I want to know your thoughts. When Adam left that day, I thought maybe, just maybe, things would finally change. He had seen the truth with his own eyes. He had held me, cried, apologized. For a brief moment, I felt like I finally had my son back. But I underestimated Lisa. Because when a person feels exposed, when their carefully built image starts to crumble, they don't reflect, they attack. And that's exactly what she did. The next week, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Calls from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Some were kind, checking in on me. Others not so much. My sister-in-law snapped, "Margaret, why would you embarrass the family like this? Posting personal business online." I took a breath. It wasn't about embarrassing anyone. It was about telling the truth, she huffed. "Well, Lisa says you twisted everything, that you're exaggerating and trying to make her look bad." I laughed quietly, bitterly. "So now I'm the liar. You just shouldn't have gone public. It's causing problems between them." "Maybe," I said, voice trembling, "but for years I was the only one suffering quietly. Now at least someone's listening." She didn't respond. Later that day, Clara showed me something that made my heart sink. Lisa had posted her own version of the story online, on the same forum. Her title, "My manipulative mother-in-law tried to ruin my marriage by playing the victim." The post was filled with lies. She painted me as controlling, guilt-tripping, and emotionally unstable. She claimed I refused to give her space, that I demanded to be invited to holidays, and that I was jealous of her relationship with her parents. I felt sick reading it. "How could she write something like this?" I whispered, my voice breaking. Clara frowned. "She's scared, Margaret. She knows the truth is out there, so she's trying to twist it before people see who she really is." But Lisa didn't stop at just the internet. She started calling family members, friends, even people from the old neighborhood, spinning her story, crying over the phone, saying I was mentally unwell. I was being erased again, this time not through silence, but through lies. When Adam found out, he came to see me again. He looked exhausted, torn between two worlds. "Mom, Lisa's upset. She says people are attacking her online, that she's getting hate messages." I looked at him steadily. "And do you believe I told people to do that?" He hesitated. "No, but you know how these things go. People can twist." "Adam," I interrupted, "the only person twisting things here is her." He ran a hand through his hair. "I just want this to stop. I don't want to lose my wife or my mother." My chest ached. "You shouldn't have to choose, sweetheart, but she's making sure you do." He didn't reply. He just stood there, defeated, a man trapped between love and guilt. A few days later, Lisa took things even further. She told their children, my grandkids, that I was angry and didn't like their mom. When I tried to video call them, they refused to talk. One of them even said, "Mom says you're mad at us." I cried that night, truly cried, the kind of cry that shakes your body, because it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about how one person's bitterness was poisoning innocent hearts. Then something unexpected happened. One of Lisa's old friends, a woman named Julia, reached out to me privately through the forum. She said, "Margaret, I saw both posts and I need you to know something. Lisa isn't who she pretends to be. She's been like this for years, manipulative, controlling, obsessed with image. You're not crazy, you're her latest target." That message hit me hard. It wasn't validation I was looking for, it was relief. Relief that someone saw her clearly. Julia went on to tell me stories of how Lisa had cut off friends who didn't agree with her, how she'd turned people against each other just to maintain control. It was the first time I realized this wasn't just personal. This was who she was, but Lisa wasn't done. The next weekend, she organized a family meeting. I was invited, though I knew it wasn't an olive branch. It was a stage. When I arrived at their house, everyone was there: Adam, the kids, Lisa's parents, even her sister. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Lisa sat on the couch, arms crossed, a perfect picture of wounded innocence. She started with a deep sigh. Margaret, we're here because we need to clear the air. Your post has hurt a lot of people. I looked around. Has it, or did the truth just make everyone uncomfortable? Her mother jumped in. You could have come to us privately, dear. I tried, I said. Every year, every Christmas, and I was told no place for your mother. Lisa's face reddened. You're twisting my words again. You were welcome, but not to stay. You make everything about you. I stood up slowly, my voice calm but shaking. Lisa, all I ever wanted was to sit at the same table as your family, to be part of my son's life. But you made it clear I wasn't enough, so I told my story, not to hurt you, but because silence was killing me. The room went quiet. Then Adam spoke softly. Mom, you have every right to tell your story. Lisa's eyes widened. What? I read both posts, he said, and I know my mom, she's not a liar. Her face turned pale. So you're taking her side now? Adam looked between us, tears in his eyes. I'm not taking sides, I'm facing the truth. That moment changed everything. Lisa stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. Her parents followed her, muttering under their breath. And for the first time, Adam stayed behind with me. We sat there in silence for a while, both of us trembling from what had just happened. Then he said quietly, Mom, I think I've been blind for a long time. I took his hand. You just wanted peace, but sometimes peace requires truth first. He nodded, tears rolling down his cheeks, but peace wasn't coming, not yet. Because what Lisa did next was darker than anything before. She wasn't just angry. She was out for revenge. And her next move would break my heart in ways I never thought possible. After that family meeting, I thought maybe things would calm down, that Lisa would realize she couldn't manipulate everyone forever. But I should have known better. People like her don't back off when they're caught. They double down. And this time, she didn't just want to silence me. She wanted to destroy me. It started subtly. Small things like neighbors suddenly avoiding eye contact. People in town whispering when I walked past the grocery aisle. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But then Clara called me one morning, her voice shaky. Margaret, you need to see this. She sent me a link, another post. This time, not from Lisa's account. It was from a brand new username, but the way it was written, the tone, the phrasing, I knew it was her. The post accused me of elder manipulation, of trying to guilt my son into leaving his marriage, of spreading hate online. It claimed I had a history of emotional blackmail and that my husband had left me because of my behavior. I froze. Because that last part about my husband was pure cruelty. He hadn't left me. He had passed away from a heart attack. Lisa knew that, she knew. And yet she used his death to paint me as a monster. My hands trembled as I read line after line of lies. Clara sat beside me, furious. This is defamation, Margaret. You could sue her. I sighed. Maybe. But people like her, they twist even the truth in court. That evening, Adam called. I could tell from his voice he'd seen it too. Mom, he said, I'm so sorry. I confronted her and she swore it wasn't her. And you believe her? I asked quietly. I don't know what to believe anymore, he admitted. She's saying someone's pretending to be her. I chuckled softly, not from humor, but from disbelief. Pretending? You think anyone else would go to this much trouble just to ruin me? He didn't respond. And that silence hurt more than any accusation. Over the next few weeks, Lisa's campaign continued. Fake messages, edited screenshots, even emails she leaked to relatives, claiming they came from me, begging for money or insulting her family. I knew they were fake, but to outsiders they looked real. Her manipulation was surgical, calculated. Even some of my extended relatives began pulling away, whispering, maybe she really is unstable. And through it all, Lisa played the perfect wife, smiling at PTA meetings, hosting dinners, posting family photos online with captions like grateful for love and peace after hard times. I wanted to scream. One night, Clara found me sitting on the porch, staring into the cold air. Margaret, she said softly, you can't let her win, you've come too far. I looked at her, exhausted. I'm tired, Clara, I don't want revenge, I just wanted to be seen. Now I'm the villain in everyone's story. She placed a hand on mine. Then maybe it's time to show people the truth, not just tell it. What do you mean? She smiled. You still have the messages, the photos, the Christmas texts she ignored, right? The recordings of her words. I nodded slowly. Then it's time to show people who she really is. The next day, I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I created my own small blog, a quiet corner of the internet where I posted my original story again, but this time with proof. Screenshots of texts where Lisa had said, "Tell your mother we have no room." Voice notes where she mocked my old-fashioned ways. Emails where she told Adam not to invite me because it'll ruin the vibe. I didn't name her directly. I didn't curse or accuse. I just laid out the truth word for word. And within 48 hours, the internet exploded again. Thousands of people who had once doubted me came back apologizing, saying, "We see you now." Some said they'd experienced the same kind of emotional exile. Others offered support, calling me brave for standing up. But the person most shaken was Adam. He came over that weekend, visibly broken. He sat on my couch, head in his hands. "Mom, I saw the proof. I can't believe she'd lie like that." Tears filled his eyes. "All these years I defended her. I thought you were just difficult. I thought she was trying her best." I swallowed hard, trying not to cry. "Love blinds us sometimes, Adam." "I know I was blinded by it too, for you." He looked up, his voice trembling. "I confronted her. She admitted it. She said she was just protecting our image." "Can you believe that?" I sighed. "Of course, that's all it's ever been about, image." He leaned back, defeated. "I don't even know if I can live with her anymore." I looked at him gently. "That's your choice, sweetheart, but whatever you decide, make sure it's based on truth, not fear." That night, I got a message from an unknown number. It said, "You think this is over? You just humiliated your own son. Congratulations." No name, but I didn't need one. Lisa was angry, furious, cornered. And when people like her are cornered, they strike back hard. 2 days later, I found out she'd done something even worse. She had filed a false report claiming I was harassing her online and threatening her safety. The police showed up at Clara's house to question me. I stood there trembling, explaining everything: the posts, the fake screenshots, the harassment. The officers were kind, but protocol was protocol. They said they'd investigate both sides. After they left, I felt like my world had shattered all over again. How far would she go to destroy me? Clara held my shoulders. "She's desperate, Margaret. This means you've got her scared. Don't give in." But that night, as I sat by the window, staring at the stars, I wondered, what if Lisa actually succeeded? What if she convinced the world that I was the problem? What if Adam lost everything because of me? My heart ached. I whispered into the darkness, "God, I just wanted peace. Why does it hurt this much to tell the truth?" The next morning, the phone rang. It was Adam again, his voice quiet but urgent. "Mom, something happened. Lisa's lies are starting to catch up with her. Someone from her job saw your blog." I froze. "And she's in trouble," he said. "Serious trouble." The day I'd waited for, the day I thought might never come, arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. I was sitting by the window, sipping tea, when my phone buzzed. It was Adam. "Mom," he said, his voice steady but filled with something I hadn't heard in years: conviction. "I need you to come to the house, now." My stomach turned. "What happened?" "She's confessing," he said. "Lisa S. finally admitting everything." I didn't know what to expect as I made that drive. My heart was pounding, my palms slick with sweat. Clara offered to come, but I told her no. This was something I needed to face alone. When I reached their house, the same one I'd once been told had no place for me, I stood on the porch for a long moment before ringing the bell. Lisa opened the door. She looked different. Her hair was messy, her eyes puffy. For the first time, there was no armor, no smugness, just exhaustion. "Come in," she said softly. Inside, Adam was sitting at the table, holding a folder. His face was pale but resolute. The kids were at school, it was just the three of us. Lisa sat across from me, avoiding my eyes. Adam placed the folder on the table and said quietly, "Mom, everything you said, it's all true. She admitted it." I blinked, unsure how to react. Lisa finally spoke, her voice trembling. I went too far. I just wanted to protect my family's image. I didn't think it would go this far." I swallowed hard. "You didn't think, Lisa, you ruined my reputation. You made people believe I was cruel, manipulative, unstable. You had the police at my door." She wiped her tears. "I know I was wrong." I wanted to scream, to shout every ounce of pain she'd caused, but instead I stayed quiet because I realized something profound. I didn't need to fight her anymore. The truth had already done it for me. Adam turned to me. "Mom, I've spoken to a lawyer. The false report is being retracted. They found out she used fake accounts to post lies. She's facing consequences at work too. Her company saw what she did. She might lose her job." Lisa's face crumpled. "I never wanted this. Didn't you?" I said softly. "Because this is exactly what happens when you build your life on lies." She looked down, sobbing quietly. There was no joy in seeing her broken, just sadness for her, for Adam, for all the years wasted in bitterness and pride. Adam looked between us, his voice shaking. "Mom, I don't know what's going to happen between us, but I want you to know you'll always have a place with me. Always." My heart cracked open. I reached across the table and took his hand. "That's all I ever wanted, sweetheart." Weeks passed. The chaos slowly faded, replaced by an odd, heavy calm. Lisa moved out temporarily, saying she needed time to reflect. Adam focused on the kids and tried to rebuild some kind of normalcy. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I just existed, peacefully, for the first time in years. I kept my blog up not for revenge, but to help others. I wrote about healing, forgiveness, and the pain of being misunderstood. The comments section filled with people sharing their own stories, parents, daughters, sons, all learning that speaking up doesn't make you cruel. It makes you human. Then, one afternoon, something happened that broke me in the best way. I was sitting outside Clara's porch when a familiar car pulled up. It was Adam and the kids. The youngest ran out first, shouting, "Grandma!" I froze. Those words, I hadn't heard them in so long. She ran into my arms, hugging me so tight I thought my heart might burst. "Mom said we can see you now," she said. She said she was wrong.